All right, so question number one, or of the 15 question review, the class chose 77% C, which is not a function. The reason it's not is because the x values cannot repeat. Can't repeat, and so you have a 5 and a 5, so that's why it's no good here. So this is the answer, C, for the x values can't repeat, and then most kids chose that. All right, so let's go to the next question. Take a minute to think about what is the domain. Okay, so we're going to see our results. I hope they're not embarrassing. Okay, we got stuck between two choices, A or B. Let's take a look at why we may have chosen. Domain is the lateral existence of the function. So laterally this function exists from there to there. So it should have been -4 to 4 right there. Okay, a lot of y'all chose negative infinity to infinity. That's usually considered to be said all real numbers. Okay? And that happens a lot. In fact, you're almost like trained to say it as your default answer. However, all real numbers applies to things that are infinite or that go on forever. This isn't that thing. We have definitive stopping points, a beginning and an end. All right, so lateral existence, choose those points and look at the x's because that's what you think of when you think of domain. Any questions? All right, so 69%, not too bad. Slightly different question. This time they're asking for the range. And I covered up all the choices. All right, so let's find out what the results are here. Okay, a lot more confusion. Most people chose B. Remember, range, if the domain is the lateral existence, then the range is the vertical existence. And you need to measure range using the y values from the y-axis. That may have been where confusion came from. So like these points are the max and min. So you look at the y value associated with that, that's 3, and that one's 1. And they are the highest and lowest points. So it goes from 1 to 3, which is, oh gosh, it's supposed to be that answer.
This one is different.
It is a little bit different. That's one little detail I didn't go over with you guys. Okay, I can explain this pretty simply though. See how we have closed dots? Y'all have seen open dots before, haven't you? Maybe on a number line. And you would shade, and you would say the open dot, if this was 0 and that's 1, you'd say the answer is x greater than 1. It's open circle. Why is it not an equal to? Because the dot's open and not shut. Y'all remember that from middle school? You should. Open circle and closed circle on lines is a thing. Open circle, if that's a 1, you say x is greater than 1. If it was a closed circle like that, you'd say x is greater than or equal to 1. Now these are closed circles. So what that means is this one would be if it had been an open circle to there. That's what this means. This means open circle. Okay, I really didn't go over any open circle ones. So technically that is the actual answer because that means closed circle. I don't usually spend a lot of time distinguishing between the two. I'll talk to Coach Smith about that maybe. Or maybe I'll edit that problem a little bit. But you are technically, that's the same conversation as closed circle means you use the bracket with the squared edge. Okay, you might want to put a note on that on your note card. Because it looks like 60+% of us knew that it was from 1 to 3, which that's the big thing. So closed circle applies to this bracket symbol. Basically, it's saying that 1 is less than or equal to y is less than or equal to 3, and you would also write that as 1, 3 is the alternate way of doing it. This is called interval notation. And this is just the inequality of the same. It means the same thing. It's just this is more concise. If it had been 1 is less than y is less than 3, then you could say 1 to 3. Because it's everything between 1 and 3, but not actually including those two. Alright, that's kind of a big vocab deal there. Let's go to the next one. Okay. I'm probably going to have to give you guys... It may be hard for y'all to read this. I had no other way to do this. Let me clean up this graph real quick. I've added in some notes there so they can see it better. All right, let's see what these results look like. All right, almost everybody chose A. Let's see how close we were. The slope here is a positive, and the intercept is -2. You need to know what the intercept is. So if the intercept is -2, is that one striking at -2? Oh, did we choose an A, B, and C? Did y'all go A, B,
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
C,
What is that not?
D? No, we can do that.
No.
I'm good with that. So this one's at +2. It can't be that one. Okay, so we want to say not B. This one's also at +2, not that one. The slope is positive. Both of these strike at -2, but the slope is positive. It can't be C because this one's going down. The only option is A. So, you know what? On some of these choices, on some of these problems with lines and stuff, multiple choice, if you just rule out the things that can't be, you'll get right to the answer, even if the graph's a little hard to see. But on y'all's Chromebooks, you can zoom in pretty easy and address that. So anyway, let's move on. Good luck. A, B, C, D like that. Okay, everyone's chosen an answer. One of the things that we really need to utilize is the tools available to us. It says use Desmos, type in that function into the equation and rule things out. You can 50-50 this problem just like some of the others when you look at the graph. Now, does everybody have their graph in front of them on Desmos? Did you pull it up? Okay, is it leaning this way? It was leaning this way, right? Okay, is that increasing or decreasing? I mean, at least you know it's positive slope. So if you were going to guess, positive slope would be with the word increasing instead of a negative slope might be with decreasing. And it is exactly what you might think it would be. So increasing is what it should be. So since the first two answers have decreasing, we know those can't be the answer. When you graphed it on Desmos, you know that that line was going that general direction, and so it was an increasing function. Next, we need to see the intercept. So maybe I should put it on Desmos real quick, and we'll see. Because they're all about the zeros. Remember, zeros are the same thing as the x-intercepts. That was one of those things we were running into on HMH. It was y equals 4x minus 8. And they're talking about the x-intercept. Well, look at that. So look, there's two options. that intercept, or that intercept. And both answers involve those two, both options. It's your job to know which one is the x-intercept. Is it 2 or is it -8? This is the x-axis, so it should be 2. All right, so we should have chosen C. We should have chosen C as the correct answer. -8, what was -8 called? It was a special crossing point on the graph, right? What is that called? It's called the y-intercept. That might be a different test question coming up. All right, so we can 50-50 these to where we can get them all right. We just have to be a little more careful, I think. All right. Another domain question, I think. Is it domain? Yeah. It shows you a function. Which one is the correct domain? I'm going to lift this up here. It's asking for the domain. Please go ahead and answer. Ever tie? Tie? You might have to refresh this. Come on, man. All right, there we go. Oh my, we are all over the place. Okay, this is probably one of the more tricky ones, but again, we're doing the same stuff. What is domain? The lateral existence of the function. Here's what might have tripped y'all up a little. What does that arrow mean? It's increasing. It also means it's going to the right. It's up and right. So it means that the function continues forever that way also. It has to continue forever that way for it to continue to increase forever. This means it goes on without boundary. Okay, but where did it start at? Is that a closed circle or open circle? It's a closed circle right there. So this is the same thing as saying x is greater than or equal to 2. So that means if you're doing this in interval notation, if it goes that way forever, the right interval is positive infinity. The left interval is a closed one with a 2. What is going on here? Oh, he really nitpicked on those. Okay. I may adjust this question a little bit. The important part to me is that do we know from 2 to positive infinity? Okay? I might adjust some of these answers when I give you a question like this. I don't know that I'll give you a lot of these extras like that. Do you guys all understand that it goes from 2 to positive infinity? Because it continues without bound? That's the important part. I may change some of these answer choices to be a little more fair. But the important part is we get a good preview of what's coming. I will give you a question like this, where you have to determine the domain, and maybe one side goes to an infinity. Okay? All right, this time we're asking for the range. Okay, now there's sticklers. Okay? Closed circle means that point counts. Okay? And if you don't see an open circle on here, you should probably use the closed circle or the squared off bracket. Okay? In your answer. The only time you don't is with the infinity. All right. Yeah, I'm recording it. That's why the camera's up. Okay. We've got very mixed results here as well. What's most important to me, and I'll make sure it's that way in the multiple choice answers that I provide when you guys take the test I'm going to give you tomorrow, is that you find the correct window. And in this case, the range is there's the lowest and the highest, it goes to positive infinity. So this is the lowest point, and that will indicate the other end. So the lowest it is going to be 5, and it goes up forever to positive infinity. This point here does not provide you the lowest point. When you're looking at range, you want to go from the lowest to the highest. And it goes up without boundaries, so that's why you have a positive infinity. Whenever you do infinity, it's not a definitive ending, so you leave it rounded. This is a definitive lowest point, so you use a bracket. It includes 5. So the correct answer probably should have been, he's got 2 correct answers here, doesn't he? Nope. It should have been C. I don't think if you chose A or C, you'd probably be good to go with the test I'm going to give you. This one where you guys chose those other 2, you used the 6. Everyone messes that one up. That's if you're doing the range, that's the one a lot of students mess up. So to me, testing the real knowledge is, can you identify the lowest Y value, which is the minimum value for the range, and can you identify the highest Y value? And that's going to be reflected in the answer choice I give you, okay? I'm not going to give you multiple ones that are kind of the same. I don't think I'll do that tomorrow. I'll adjust the multiple choice. I think both of these are pretty good. I know this is the technical correct answer. But if you chose 6, that's more on you, right? We covered that. That's not the lowest point. That is the lowest point. Okay. Any questions? You guys are such a quiet group first block, but okay. I know a lot of y'all chose the 6. I would have too, because when you did the domain, you used that point, right? But you got to be careful. That's for the leftmost point, and then the rightmost is positive infinity. Here, the bottommost is there, so it changes. And it's not always like that, but on this one it is. Okay. Now, you could have a similar thing here on this one. Now, let me clarify something. I'm pretty sure this is an arrow. It's just kind of covered up by the numbers and stuff. Good luck. This is one of those. Oh, you didn't need that though. Okay. It's not a domain range question. This is the which family does this belong? This is what we did Wednesday and Thursday. Go. All right, let's see what we got. The family of functions, this is an unfair representation because you have like 6 or 7 choices and only one is correct. But it is, well, I hope it is kind of easy. Well, you can see the majority picked absolute value. Absolute value is the one that makes the V. Now look, if I had a little note card, a 3x5 note card, I think I would do a couple little pictures on there and I'd put those names down so you knew which one. Okay? Now, if you want to do it multiple times with the note card and you want to throw out your old one, just make sure you use one of the same size if you want to do it again. So you can. I'll let you use a note card on the test tomorrow, is what I'm saying. That's why I gave you one at the beginning of class. I was hoping you were filling it out as we were going with hints and clues. So remember that note sheet? This is the one. We did the notes that one day, and I had all the pictures and all the pictures and all the graphs and their names. So be aware that you're going to need to know those. All right. Let's jump to the next one. It's the same kind of thing, but you know what? There's a slight issue here. You don't have a picture this time, do you? So what do you have to do? Use Desmos, right? Okay, so you'll type the function into Desmos to generate the picture to make sure you know. But you may just know from the algebra. Time is running out. Oh, Emma again is still sleeping. Bella, Peyton. Oh, Peyton, you got called.
Sorry,
Where's Peyton?
I wasn't paying attention.
you weren't paying attention, oh, what are you, a teenager?
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare
At least you're honest.
you? You need to stop acting like a teenager there, Miss Whitley. I'm gonna keep clicking your name. Till it disappears. You don't know which answer? Just pick one now. You zoned out. Alright, time is up. We'll see what we got. Okay, most kids chose C. Let's see what's going on here, guys. Alright, if you look at your graph, if you have a number, well this is the one we gave you that was 2 to the x. So it's a base and it's an exponent, and this base is like a whole number. That will be exponential growth. And if you typed it in, you should have been able to compare it to your notes. Like when this isn't a real test, I don't care if you even have all your notes out. This is just more practice to make sure you get it done. But yes, it was supposed to be exponential growth. It looks just like a picture like this, where it grows exponentially. Ooh, like that. All right, next slide. All right, you might want to write some things down and think about it. It is sort of like a little bitty word problem. Oh, you did way harder ones than that in your homework. Way harder. Let's take a look at this. I haven't read this yet. I glanced at it. Okay, one of the things we've talked about is the phrase initial value. It's come up a lot. Initial value, or remember we talked about that one problem that said a bank account. If you're going to have a bank account, you have a deposit. That's how much you start with in a bank account, right? So you start with a certain amount, and then, theoretically, it should increase. The same thing is happening here. How much are we starting with? 6. So if it's a line and they're talking about write a function, we're talking about y equals mx plus b. And this y-intercept is the initial amount. Because if you look at a t-chart, it's the one that's like xy, it's 0 and that number. It is the y-intercept, it's the starting amount. It's at 0 for x, meaning no time has elapsed yet. It's the beginning. Okay, so our beginning amount was $6. So if we know we started with $6, we've already answered the question because it's the only option with a B of 6. It's B. Increases, it's 4 as gifts. What is it, every year? She gets 4 new ones. 4, 8, 4 plus 6. 2 4s plus 6. 3 4s plus 6. So what's happening is it's 4 times the years plus 6. Right there. This is the only one. You basically, this question is saying, do you know what the initial value is with a line equation? All right, Katie, put your phone up, please. That's your one freebie. Next time you have the fun lunch. Good luck. We shouldn't take too long. Isn't that Katie Roberts? You'll have an old. All right, please answer. Just a y minus a y and an x minus an x. Zayden, is he back yet? Hello, Zayden. Eric, Ever. All right. Oh, come on, guys. All right, great. Stanley, come on. You can't pick every answer, dude. All right. Let's take a look at the y minus the y. So you want to take 5 minus 1 over negative 8 minus negative 2. If it helps, label this 0.2 and this one 0.1, and then you have x1, y1, x2, y2, and just fill them in the slots. That one minus that one on top, just like the equation over there. Remember your slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so we should have gotten 4 over negative 6 or negative, wait a second, what did I do? What?
You put negative 2 instead of 2.
What did I do? I did it wrong? This
It's
is
supposed to
crazy.
be a normal 2.
Oh gosh. Yes it is. I'm a dingus. Okay, so negative 10. That's what happens when you don't sleep, right? So we get negative 2/5 right there. D was the answer. That is not great, guys. I'm highly concerned. We did a lot of slope problems. Tells me a lot of us flipped over, so I don't know. A, what do we choose? We choose B. Yeah, you've got to put the y's on top, y'all. You got to put the y's on top. The equation was on the board. I'm going to give you you can have the equation on the board. I'll give you the y equals mx plus b formula. That as well. All right, let's jump to the next one. Let's try and get through all these. Here's another brief word problem where you have to come up with an equation. Read it carefully. A couple things you want to see is like the thing that's changing. The thing that's changing, I know it says it's constant, but it's changing. With each minute, you get 8 more, right? So that tells you that's going to be your slope. If it's per something, that's usually going to be your slope. It's actually going to be multiplied. If it's 8 more every time, that's the multiplication. 50 feet below is the initial value. I haven't really just sat down and read the whole thing, but that's what I think it is. So I think we should have chosen C. Some of us picked 50, but they didn't see the below. Okay, so between that, everybody had the right numbers. We just had the wrong sign on the 50. That may have been our best question yet. Okay, I'll try to give you guys a little bit of hint here as far as the points go. Well, you know what? I'm going to let you read it. This one's not super hard to read. They've got all the numbers on it. I'm not going to help. Go ahead and see if you can calculate the slope. And that's all this is a slope question. Calculate it by reading the graph. Let's wrap this one up. We should all have an answer or close to it. 4 didn't answer. That's on you. Okay, let's take a quick look at what we should have had. First of all, the slope is positive. It is leaning upright. I'm worried that 18% of us chose an answer with a negative, or actually almost 23% of us chose an answer with a negative. Guys, we have to know that if the line is leaning this way, the slope is positive. It's the first notes from the year. All right, next we need to find 2 good points. This one is a good point, meaning it's a whole number. It's 0, 2. It's a nice one. This is just like what we did on HMH. We found a nice point, and then you travel until you can find the very next one. Remember the dot would bounce around until you found a nice point? Here we've got to just use our eyes. There it is. And then you've got to count how much from there and how much from there. And this one is 3 and 1, so the slope should have been positive 3 over 1, which is B. That's nice. That only half of us got that is a little bit concerning, guys. You have to be able to count and identify slope from a graph. That's a vital skill, and we did quite a few of those. It's the up and down divided by the left and right. I think almost everyone should get that question right on the test. If you don't remember, leave yourself a note. You have a note card. Thinking that everyone has now taken down some notes on graphing those that needed to, on calculating the slope. They're lobbing you a semi-easy question here. What does the M stand for with the equation of a line? This should probably be 100%. I know we got 80%, but y'all, seriously, the slope intercept, it's even listed by its name. It's the slope intercept. Know all the terminology. We can do a little better than that. The y-intercept is the last thing. It's the constant. It's the initial value. All right, let's move on. Last question. I think this is the last question of the day. Whoops, sorry. Good luck. Last question of the day. It's also about slope-intercept form. All right, once we're done with this, I'll explore Destiny's out. Ever, Eli. Let's see what we got. Most of us chose, again, this is kind of an issue, guys. I think some of y'all are playing. The y-intercept is what the B represents. I literally wrote it on the last slide. I hope y'all are playing. Again, I'm going to export this as a PDF. I'll put it on our class website. You can continue to practice and look at it as necessary to prepare for your test. Fill up your note cards before you come in to take the test. Make sure they're full.